Almost anything that we think of as public infrastructure can be subject for an eminent domain proceeding. Roads come to mind as being very common, from anything from a city road all the way up to a interstate highway. In addition, things like public buildings, dams, reservoirs, pipelines, power transmission lines, all these things can be subject for eminent domain power. Typically, there'll be a planning process prior to the implementation of a public works process. This can include land planning professionals, engineers, environmental specialists, and even archaeologists, depending on the scope of the project. The first notice of an eminent domain proceeding may come in the form of a visit from an employee called a landman, or through the mail in written correspondence. In Texas, a landowner is entitled to receive a landowner's bill of rights, which is a document promulgated by the Texas Attorney General that sets forth the rights and responsibilities of all the parties in an eminent domain proceeding. Each case is different. In some cases, the government can take an entire land holding called a tract. In other cases, they may just simply take a piece of a larger tract from the landowner. In many cases, yes. When a piece of a larger tract is taken, there's a concept called damage to the remainder, and this indicates the impact in value caused by the taking. This can be very severe, and in many cases larger than the actual dollar amount for the land being taken. Two examples of this would be if you had land that had valuable road frontage and that piece was taken. While it may be relatively small, the damage to the remainder may be significant if you lose that roadside exposure, which is so valuable. Another case may be an easement running across land. While it just runs across land, it may physically come across a portion of the land that renders the entire rest of the land unusable for the original and purpose, or for the highest and best use of the land. So in many cases, damages to the remainder will be a significant element of the damages that a landowner is entitled to recover. In Texas, the landowner's Bill of Rights requires the condemning entity to provide the landowner with three things: a copy of the landowner's Bill of Rights itself, a copy of the appraisal or whatever other valuation documents the government has, and the landowner is also entitled to receive a good faith offer for the portion of land that the government agency is seeking. The short answer is that they don't. A landowner is entitled to hire their own appraiser in order to check the government's work, but this is a cost that the landowner will have to bear. If the landowner chooses not to accept the government entity's final offer, the next step is often a lawsuit. The government entity will file a case in the county in which the land is situated in the county court. The first document is usually called the original petition or a petition in condemnation. Keep in mind that the landman works for the governmental entity, and the landman's job is often to secure the most parcels of property at the lowest possible price. They are not looking out for your rights. They have their own agenda, and that's why it's important to hire an attorney to protect your rights and ensure that you get the fair and adequate value for the property that you're guaranteed under the Constitution. The government won't go away if the landowner refuses the offer. If they're determined to proceed with the process and the project, they will file an eminent domain lawsuit. This can often be an intimidating process. Anytime an individual is sued, there's procedural pitfalls, there's the stress of litigation, and that's why it's important to associate an attorney with experience in these matters who can help you navigate through the process and make sure that your right to fair and adequate compensation is protected. The process of an eminent domain lawsuit has some unique aspects. The first is what's called the commissioner's hearing. At the outset, there's an administrative hearing where a judge will appoint 3 county landowners to sit as commissioners. These commissioners can hear evidence on what the value of the land is, and they issue a decision called an award that assigns a monetary amount to what's being taken. However, this is not the end of the road for the lawsuit. In fact, if either party, the condemner or the landowner, is unhappy with the commissioner's decision, they can file an appeal. This appeal creates a new lawsuit where the landowner and the condemnor can both present evidence. However, in this case, it's evidence presented to a jury of the landowner's peers. The decision to appear at the commissioner's hearing is one that should be made with the advice of an attorney. Many landowners choose not to appear, while others may choose to appear. There's strategic considerations, and that's why it's important to associate an attorney early on in the process. It's very important to consult a lawyer as early as possible in the eminent domain process. By the time a landowner receives a notice or a visit from a landowner, from a landman.
You can start.
Yeah.
Okay. This is 20. So at what point should a landowner retain the attorney?
It's very important to consult an attorney as early as possible in the eminent domain process. By the time a landowner receives a visit from a landman or a statutory notice, the process of the public project is very advanced at that point. There's many procedural pitfalls and timing elements that need immediate attention, and so it's a good idea to talk to a lawyer as soon as possible to make sure that your rights are protected and that you can recover the maximum value for your land. Many governmental entities and condemning entities employ agents, referred to as landmen, in order to facilitate the real estate deals. Some, but not all, landmen are lawyers or have background in the real estate business. What a landman wants is to close a deal as cheaply and as quickly as possible. They may have significant amounts of paperwork or complicated legal contracts. When a landman knocks at your door, it's important to be on notice that they do not represent you and they are attempting to get the land at the lowest possible price and close the deal as quickly as possible. Don't forgo your legal rights by signing paperwork too quickly and without consulting an attorney.
That's great. Wow. I mean, he didn't say anything in there that is not true.
Right. I mean, that's exactly what I want.
Yeah.
That's good. Thank you.
Love it.